Hey, what's happening, people? Today we're going to look at a very common situation when you want to photograph your subject, backlit. I want to maintain some colors in the sky, and I have to underexpose the background. It's a nice sunset, and with my subject backlit, of course, I'm going to have a shadow on Lydia's face, which is with us today again. And the most easy solution for a situation like this, we're gonna take a picture with just with exposing for the sky right now to see how it looks. I'm using the shutter speed 1200 of a second at f2.0 at ISO 100. This gives me a nice texture and exposure in the sky. I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna focus only the eye, and of course, the sky looks good, the background looks good, but Lydia's face is in a shadow. What are you going to do in a situation like this? The easier solution, like everybody does, you bring a flash in the scene. So we're going to bring our flash. I have a strip box with an AD200. I love these flashes because they are super powerful and manageable. In order to reduce the contrast of the scene, I'm going to use a fill light on camera fill, and I'm going to use my 44 octabox, the bigger light, because I want to have a nice even exposure throughout Lydia's body, and we're going to flatten the contrast. We're going to be more flat, but I'm lifting up the exposure. The shadow side of Lydia are going to have a nice detail, and I'm using my softbox, the strip box, as my main light because I can illuminate a side of the face, kind of pretending that is the light from the sun behind her. Of course, in a situation like this, you have to go with a high-speed sync because it's the only game in town. The sun, we are in Florida, the sun is super bright. I'm shooting anywhere from 1000 to 1200 of a second on shutter speed. And f2, I need to blur the background. I'm using the Canon R5 with a 35mm 1.4 lens, the new one RF. So I need to keep the softboxes pretty close to Lydia because I don't want to go, at full power and not be enough. And it's like a really tight spot, but it's enough to give me a room to play and photograph with a medium telephoto lens, the 35mm. I'm gonna switch to 85 and I'm gonna play a little bit with the dimensions. The whole idea is to make sure that you get the exposure nail in place. I'm using the nano trigger for my Godox AD 200. Both of them, both the softboxes, I have the AD200 with a 44 octa, and it's 14 by 36 or 40. I'm going to put the description in below. And I start with the TTL exposure, and I just start dialing up and down for my taste. I took a meter reading. I was already like when you are on high-speed sync, and a handheld meter doesn't work. So we're going to take a couple of pictures on this location, and I'm going to move. The thing is, like, when I move around, I'm going to still keep my big softbox as my fill light, so I have a nice exposure throughout the picture. I'm going to use my strip box as my main light, and I'm going to have a nice fallout and on Lydia's face from the side. Right now the sun just came behind the clouds. I'm shooting at shutter speed 1600 at 2.2 ISO 100, still with the 35mm 1.4 lens from Canon, and AD200 flashes. I am trying to maintain my fill light as low as possible, but still to have detail, and just edge light Lydia with the strip box. You gotta start with the exposure for the background. Make sure that you keep a color and saturation in the sky or in your background. After that, that's your starting point. You bring in your fill light on camera fill. You start with a lower setting, you increase it till you start lifting up the shadows in the face of your subject. You don't have to make it read like it's your main light, so you gotta just stop it short. You're gonna introduce your main light, Right now I have this strip box. I think it works good for this situation because I can edge light Lydia and separate it from the background and kind of like mimic the light is coming from the sun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please check out my channel for more lighting tutorials and gear reviews. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.